Hello, students, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Today, we're going to talk about something that is literally all around us. It's in the clothes we wear, the books we read, and yes, even the device you're watching this on. We're talking about manufacturing industries. So, let's get started.
I want you to imagine something. Picture this. It's Diwali time, and you're with your family in a crowded, bustling market. The shops are just overflowing with colorful clothes, shiny utensils, sweets, and of course, those beautiful earthen diyas. You get a new pair of shoes. Your mother buys some sugar and tea. It's a wonderful, happy scene, isn't it? But it also makes you think, where do all these things actually come from? And how are so many of them made?
Well, in this short explainer, we're going to answer that very question. We'll start with a little story from the market, then we'll figure out what manufacturing really means. After that, we'll see why it's so important for our country's economy, how it works together with farming, and finally, we'll connect it all back to the world right around you.
Right, so our journey today begins with a young boy named Harish. Just like we imagined, Harish went to a market with his parents during Diwali. They bought shoes and clothes for him, and his mother bought some utensils, sugar, tea, and those lovely earthen lamps, the diyas.
Now, as Harish looked around at all the shops, just packed with all these different items, a thought popped into his head. How could so many things be produced? This is a really important question, and the answer lies in just one word: manufacturing.
So let's move on and see if we can answer Harish's question. And to do that, we first need to get a really clear idea of what manufacturing is. So what exactly is manufacturing? Well, the main idea is this. It is the process of taking raw materials, things from nature like wood or cotton, and turning them into finished products that are much more valuable. And this is a key point. This is usually done in large quantities. Let me say that again because it's very important. Manufacturing is the production of goods in large quantities after processing raw materials to make them more valuable.
This process is happening all around us every single day. For example, the paper in your notebook, that's manufactured from wood. The sugar you put in your tea, that's manufactured from sugarcane. The steel used to make utensils comes from something called iron ore. The shiny aluminum in window frames comes from a rock called bauxite. And of course, the clothes we are all wearing are manufactured from yarn.
Now, what's really interesting here is a concept called value addition. Just think about it for a second. Is a simple piece of wood as useful or as expensive as a whole book? No, right? Is a ball of raw cotton as useful as a shirt? Of course not. You see, at every single stage of processing, the material becomes more useful, and because of that, it becomes more valuable.
And this chart shows it perfectly. Let's look at the textile industry. We start with the raw fiber, say cotton. That gets spun into yarn. The yarn is then woven to make fabric. And finally, that fabric is dyed, finished, and stitched into a garment, like a shirt or a dress. At each one of these steps, from fiber to yarn, yarn to fabric, and fabric to garment, value is being added.
Okay, so now that we know what manufacturing is, let's try to understand why it is so important for a country like India.
To understand where manufacturing fits, just think of our economy as having three main parts. First, you have the primary sector. This is all about getting raw materials directly from nature, things like farming or mining. Then, you have the tertiary sector, which provides services like transport or banking. Manufacturing sits right in the middle, in what we call the secondary sector. This is the part of the economy where raw materials are transformed into the finished goods that we all buy and use.
In fact, the manufacturing sector is so vital that it is often called the backbone of a country's economic development. Think about that for a moment. Just like a backbone supports your entire body, manufacturing supports and strengthens the entire economy.
But why do we call it the backbone? Well, let's break it down. First, it helps to modernize our agriculture by providing things like tractors and fertilizers. Second, it creates a lot of jobs, which helps reduce poverty and unemployment. Third, when we sell our manufactured goods to other countries, our country earns valuable foreign money. And finally, by building industries in different regions, it helps to spread wealth across the country, making sure everyone benefits. It really does lift up the entire nation.
Now let's look a little closer at that first point we mentioned, the special relationship between agriculture and industry. They aren't separate things, they are actually partners.
There's a saying that describes this partnership perfectly. Agriculture and industry are not exclusive of each other. They move hand in hand. This simply means that one cannot grow properly without the help of the other. They completely depend on each other.
Let's see how this cycle of growth actually works. Step 1.
Agriculture provides the raw materials, like cotton or sugarcane, to the industries. Simple enough. Step 2, industries use these materials, but they also manufacture things for farmers, like irrigation pumps, fertilizers, and tractors. And then, step 3, these industrial products help farmers to modernize their work and grow more crops, which, in turn, provides even more raw materials for industry. You see, it's a cycle where they both help each other grow stronger.
So, we've learned what manufacturing is and why it's so important. For our last section, let's bring all this knowledge back into our own lives, shall we?
You might have a question at this point. We've talked about these huge factories making shoes and clothes, but what about those diyas that Harish saw in the market? They are usually made by individual artisans right in their homes. Does that also count as manufacturing?
And the answer is a big yes, absolutely. As Harish's father explained to him, manufacturing happens at all different scales. You have large industries making things like cars, you have small industries making things like utensils, and you have household or cottage industries where artisans make things like diyas. It's all manufacturing because it involves turning a raw material, in this case clay, into a more valuable finished product.
So let's just quickly recap the 3 big ideas from our discussion today. First, manufacturing is all about turning simple raw materials into more valuable goods. Second, it is the backbone of our economy, creating jobs and helping our country to grow. And third, it doesn't work alone. It moves hand in hand with agriculture, creating a powerful cycle of progress.
And to finish, I'll leave you with a couple of things to think about. First, just take a look around you, right now. Can you spot 3 manufactured items that you've already used today? And second, think about your own town or city. What kind of manufacturing industries do you think might be nearby? Answering these questions for yourself is really the best way to see just how important manufacturing is in all of our lives. Thank you for joining me today.